Hello and welcome to my video blog. I'm packing for Terrible Influences tour. I can't zoom in on this app, that sucks. I'm watching Dan and Phil play Poppy Playtime in the back. The year is somehow 2024. So, it's Thanksgiving Day when I'm recording this, and honestly, if anyone was going to bring this channel out of a hiatus, it only makes sense that it's Dan and Phil. You saw the title of this video, so you know where we're going. I flew all the way to Kansas City to see Dan and Phil on the Terrible Influences tour. The thing about the gaming channel revival, I'm assuming again, if you're watching this video, if you clicked on this video, you know who Dan and Phil are. I don't know why you'd be here anywhere else. This channel has been dead and in the ground for quite some time. But the gaming channel was a big deal, right? I'm sure you can relate if you're out here. Dan and Phil, when I started watching them in 2014, I was about to graduate high school. So Dan and Phil were my constants through college. They kept pushing me to, continue my degree and to chase after the things that I loved, and I owe them a lot for that. 2023 was a bit of a difficult year for me. The long story short, and the reason why I'm saying all of this is because Dan and Phil have always been there for me when I've been struggling, and 2023, 2024 is no different. Maybe I'm a little crazy, maybe I'm a little bit too dedicated to have wanted to fly from Florida all the way to Missouri in order to see Dan and Phil in Terrible Influences tour. Why did I do that, you may ask? Because if you're a Dan and Phil fan, again, you would know that the Terrible Influences dates had, I believe it was 3 dates in Florida. You're right about that. The day of the big Terrible Influences ticket drop, I was going for the Orlando show. That is the show that's most convenient to me. That's also the show where I saw We're All Doomed. So I had never had an issue getting the Dan and Phil tickets that I wanted. Terrible Influences was completely different. I get in, and tickets are disappearing in front of my eyes, and I panicked. And I bought a random ticket, general admission, and I was like, oh, no. Because as much as I was excited to still be going to see the show, because I was, okay, I really wanted that VIP. I really wanted it. I'm not a concert goer, okay? I don't really get into singers. I don't really get into celebrities, but Dan and Phil, there's something different about them. I don't know what to say. They hit different. I'm from near Kansas City. So I was like, you know what? I'll try one more time. I will try for the Kansas City show. And if I happen to get VIP, I happen to get that VIP. But if I don't get VIP, then I'm not gonna bother flying all the way there to see the show twice. The Kansas City tickets were sold on a different website than Ticketmaster that I had never used before. So I panicked, set up an account. I was trying to learn quickly how it worked, because I was like, oh my god, how does this even work? And when the time came, I got in, I got the ticket, and I got out. And I was like, oh my god, I got it. So I was like, okay, I gotta get a plane ticket for that, which I initially booked a one airline. And then long story short, they were trying to randomly send me to Vegas. They changed the entire flight. Thankfully, they were able to refund me and I was able to buy another ticket, but what was that about? I don't know. I didn't have to worry about hotel. I didn't have to worry about transportation because I just asked my parents to take me. Obviously, I am packing only the essentials. My Dan and Phil plushies. I'm bringing my We're All Doomed tour t-shirt, obviously. I'm bringing my Dan and Phil Taftinoff 2016 America tour shirt. I'm bringing, obviously, the Don't Cry craft tee. I'm bringing the Save the Bees tee. I'm bringing this to go over whatever I decide to wear. I'm also bringing the Daniel Howell long sleeve We're All Doomed End of the World tour shirt, and the Piece de Resistance sweater that Dan owns.
that I bought after meeting him at We're All Doomed and imported into the United States. I also am bringing my VIP Dan and Phil tour lanyard thingy because I think it would be really funny to wear this. I'm also bringing the Doomed bracelet. Unfortunately, I didn't buy the other ones. I think this is the one I got for VIP. And of course, I'm bringing my fandom member bracelet because of course. I'm also bringing my Doomed string bag. It's gotten a little bit damaged. It's not the best quality, no offense, but it's a bag, and I can bring that to the tour. And then I'm bringing this bad boy. If you know Dan and Phil Go Outside, you're a real one. This is, you know, just the photo book. But this is my only Dan and Phil book that's not signed. I'm also technically in this book. Hold on, let me pull this bad boy open. The lighting is terrible. I went to this show. That, like, 3 pixels right there by that girl's arm, that's me.
I understand that this is an incredibly privileged thing to be able to do, not only to get Dan and Phil VIP tickets, to have multiple show dates, but also to fly to a completely different location to see the Dan and Phil show. I'm sure there's other people that, you know, did crazier things than me, so I'm not trying to be like, I'm so crazy, ooh. It's just, you know, I want people to know it's like, for me, this was my Eras tour. This is all I wanted, and I am very, very thankful that I got it. So I went home. This was like such a short trip. I flew home like in the morning, right, on like my weekend, because I don't work a normal job where you get the weekends off. I work a weird job. I, you know, flew home really early on my Saturday, spent a day like with my family. Really great bonus, got to see my family. Then the next day was like the tour. I spent the night before the tour with me and my mom, and we made a bunch of little Dan and Phil bracelets for me to try to swap at the tour. I didn't make that many because, again, I didn't have that much time. But what I did do is I made 2 bracelets for Dan and Phil. The next day, while I was, you know, I was kind of like getting in the headspace, right? Like the tour. I was like, okay, the tour's tonight. What's the last things that I need to do? Of course, write my letters to Dan and Phil. So when I went to We're All Doomed, I gave Dan this really cute letter that I like drew on because I wanted it to kind of like match the branding of his show. So I wanted to do something similar this time. I sort of went with like the TV concept. I don't really remember what I drew. Let me look at it and then I will tell you. So on like the Dan one, I put the gay flag, a camera, YouTube, stuff from like the gaming channel. I put like a little book and then put the acronym for You Will Get Through This Night. Cat whiskers, obviously. I put little flowers on top. I just thought it would be cute. And little music notes because he's musical. I drew the little bee because he commented on it last time, so I wanted to put that in there.
Yes, I would. I also have this for you. I try to make it very small. I love the little bee as well.
I'm really proud of how Dan's name, The Fire, came out. I think it looks super sick. And then I misheard the Terrible Influence tour as Terrible Influences tour, so I did misspell their tour on here. Whoopsies, oh well, life goes on. I drew a little pizza, a little dipping sauce. I thought that one was really cute. Shrek ears, the feel, an axe for, of course, Dan selling an axe to a child, you know. Cassette tape, that was kind of like We're All Doomed, like related, you know. The piano, again, because he's a little musical guy. Video game controller, the brackets for, hi, my name is Dan. Because, like, look, say what you want, that is iconic. That is culture. And then, of course, a little llama, again, culture. Come on. Okay, and then on the film one, of course, the YouTube and the camera, and then I drew the little monkey in jail. That's from Phil's first video blog. And then I drew, like, no, like the symbol for no, with a cheese on the inside. It's kind of hard to see, so he probably won't understand what that is, but it's okay. Pokeball, a sock, a video game controller. I did do 2 different video games controllers for them because I just thought it was really cute. And then a little dog and a lot of plants. Plants was kind of like my thing that I weaved through the whole thing. Like I did music with Dan. And then, of course, still had to keep it iconic with the cat whiskers, the gay flag, big old plant. Oh, and then I, of course, put the blue oval name card from Phil was on The Weakest Link, and I put GNU on it because, obviously. I don't know if he's going to get that offhand, but I think he will. I drew cereal. Again, some stuff on the gaming channel, little cards and stuff. The whiskers, the lion, a pig, and the field for the golden pig and the field. And then for like amazing Phil, I put like a kind of like a crown because like he's the king of YouTube. I wanted to put a bunch of references, and I hope that the references like that they would all, you know, like understand and everything. So when I got to the venue, the line was like not like long, but it was a bit long. They had us standing in the sun for a minute, and that sucked. I'm not gonna lie. I was really struggling in the sun. But eventually, like an hour and a half later, whatever, we finally got in. It probably wasn't that long, but it felt that long. I did get to the venue early because I just wanted to make sure that I was gonna get there. I have been to, like I said, We're All Doomed. So for We're All Doomed, I went to the merch first. And actually they had recommended that we kind of go to the merch first. So that's what I decided to do for this tour. They said you could go two ways. You could go to the merch table, or you could go to get your VIP bag / do the check-in. And then after you checked in, you were allowed to get in line for the meet and greet. Well, I was like, let me go to the merch table first. After going to the merch table, I did check in. So I checked in, I got my VIP bag, and then I awkwardly stood in the meet and greet line and then tried to put all of the merch that I had just bought inside the VIP bag, as well as to hold what I wanted to get signed. The venue that they had this show in, by the way, is beautiful. It's the Midland Theater in Kansas City. They kind of had a bunch of signs up though that's like, do not take photos or videos. So I felt like kind of weird, so I didn't like take any photos or videos in the main room. I waited in the line, and somebody on their team, and I wish I knew this man's name, I don't, but he made an announcement. He's like, hey, just so you know, this is how the VIP meet and greet thing is gonna go. There's gonna be a table that you can put your stuff down so you don't have to hold it during the meet and greet, which is amazing. Love that. Please have that at every show. Oh my god, please have that at every show. It was awesome. And then he was like, hey, if you want me to record your interactions, you know, I will. Like, I will absolutely do that for you. And then Dan and Phil can steal your phone for a selfie afterwards. And I was like, oh. The thing about the Midland Theater, I don't know how the other theaters were, but this was a bit odd to me. The meet and greet was down a flight of stairs. So we were waiting in this line, just being like, I guess Dan and Phil are at the end of this line somewhere. I guess they are. I don't know where they are, but they're here somewhere. Went down the stairs, and then about halfway down the stairs, we could kind of hear their voices. Waited a little bit longer, and then boom, I had set my bags down. I had my stuff to get signed. I had my little phone out, and I was asking the lovely lady, I believe her name is Sarah, who is there to like check in with people before they go meet Dan and Phil. When I handed my phone to the guy, he had my phone like in one hand, and then Dan and Phil were trying to hand the letters and or gifts from the people previous to them over to him at the same time, because he was also sort of like their handler, their attendant, whatever. And you can see in the video, I'm looking at him, waiting for like him to call me forward. And then he does call me forward, but at the same time, he dropped one of the like little bracelets or something. And so like, I kind of like awkwardly paused, and like Phil was trying to be like, oh, like I'll pick it up. But then like he'd already called next, and I was there. And so I kind of like give him a weird look, and then there's like a weird like camera dip because he's like trying to pick up the thing that fell, whatever. So it was a bit like at the start. And the one thing that absolutely kills me in the video of me meeting them is I gave Dan and Phil the letters first, but I don't know, I guess I was trying to use my time wisely, but I missed what Dan said. He says something here and I can't make it out, and he shows the letter like to Phil, like he's trying like pointing something out, and I just wish I knew like which drawing he was looking at or like talking about or like pointing out to Phil or whatever. I like to assume it's probably the flame on his name because I think it's the most obvious thing about the letter, but like I don't know, maybe he saw something else and he's like, oh my gosh, what a funny little reference. I think a lot of people would tell you that Phil's pretty quiet during meet and greets, and I think that's true, but like he was still absolutely lovely. Really honored to have been able to meet him again, considering I hadn't seen him since The Amazing Tour's Not on Fire like a million years ago.
Next, please.
Thank you. And hey there. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming to see us. Would you like us to sign your dab go?
Yes, I also have these for you.
Oh, very nice. That has been a while. Oh my god. It's been out from Phil. Who is this guy? Yeah, let's go. Oh, I like this. Let's grab a photo as well. Yeah, would you like me to steal this for selfie?
Yes.
So they signed here in the inside front cover. I told them, you guys can sign wherever you want. I figured this is where they were gonna sign, but like in case they had a spot that they liked in here, that was good for signing, but they both said inside front cover for me, so that's that. Then we were waiting for the pre-show, so I kind of like went off into a corner to just like have a moment to myself before the show started. And I got approached by another fan. She asked me if I wanted to trade bracelets with her. And then we were just chatting, you know, like we were having just like a good old conversation, like talking about Dan and Phil, talking about the show. And then like people start like making noise and I go, oh my God, Dan and Phil must like be making an appearance upstairs, because I was right underneath the balcony. So I like kind of looked up as if you can see through the floor. Now, I want y'all to really consider this. There were 3 floors in this place. Top floor, which was balcony, main floor, which was main floor, and then like basement, which was where the meet and greet was. I was standing by the stairs in the basement. So if I had about 3 brain cells to rub together, I could have probably figured out, turn around, but I did not. Instead, I'm looking up at the balcony like, are they up there? Why would they be up there? Why would they be up there? Yes, there's an elevator and technically there's multiple staircases, but like, bro, turn around. The girl who I was with was there with her husband, so he kind of like made a thing like turn around. And so she turns, I turn, and they were literally right there. Like they literally walked right past us and we were literally like, oh, well, why is everyone looking over here? After that, we got called into the pre-show. I did record the pre-show because, so the thing is, I have a really terrible memory. Even sitting here right now after having seen 2 Terrible Influences tours, I can't quite remember what happened. Like, I know what happens, and I know the parts that were like different between the shows, but I can't remember it very well. Let's just leave it there. I can't remember it very well. Unfortunately, I have just had to accept that about myself. So I did record the pre-show. Now, Dan and Phil, before the actual show, do make an announcement, no recording during the main show. I am always going to respect Dan and Phil's wishes for that, so I did not pull my phone out during the main show. The pre-show, if you want to watch it, I uploaded it to my side channel and I'll leave a link at the end of the video. But it was good. Here's a random clip from it.
Now, usually the first question we get is a representation of the place we're in.
Okay, yeah.
So what's Kansas City going to provide? Rank these things from most real to least real.
Okay.
Lincoln Memorial, Yellow, 3, a flower, and Winnie the Pooh.
Lincoln Memorial, not real.
No.
I don't believe it.
And then the theater asked us all to leave, so we all left, which it was getting a bit crowded because then the general admission was starting to come in, so we all left, and general admission was coming in, and then after that, then we could go and sit down. I got my seat, 2nd row, dead center, and the first row was like almost on top of the stage. Like if I'm in the 1st row, the stage was like right here. Like it was so close to them. So front row's like, oh my God. And Phil had even made a point in the pre-show.
I like ridiculous.
It's like, ugh.
show was amazing. Loved it. Loved it. I'd love to talk about it more, but they still have more tour dates on this stretch, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't gotten seen it. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. So after the show was over, one of the people next to me was like, hey, are you going to Stage Door? And I was like, I mean, maybe. Because here's the thing. If I had driven there on my own, 100% I would stay for Stage Door. But the problem was, my parents were coming to pick me up, and they had told me about when they were going to get there. And obviously, if the show had been let out at that point, it wasn't going to be a big deal. It's not like they would have made me, like, leave the show early for it. But, like, I wasn't going to have them sit outside and, like, drive loops around the theater while I sat there for who knows how long waiting for Dan and Phil to come out. So I did go to the Stage Door, but unfortunately, I had to leave before Dan and Phil came out. But honestly, it was fine. After that, the next day, I hung out with, like, my brother and his girlfriend for a minute, because I don't ever get to see them either, and then I flew out. And that was that. I went to work the next day. If you were also at the Kansas City tour, shout out. Honestly, that was a really, really good show there. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video that I also had that general admission ticket for Orlando that I didn't want to sell. I went to the Orlando show as well. And you know what? I was able to make more friendship bracelets, and I was able to trade with a bunch of people, so I got a bunch of really funny bracelets. But all that being said, here we are at the end of the video. I'm so grateful that I got to go to Terrible Influences tour. I'm gonna wrap up this video by showing you my photo cards, and you can click on the different links around the screen if you want. But thank you for watching, and if you went to Terrible Influences, tell me about it in the comments. Heck yeah, let's go.